Before country music had music videos, television specials, or concert films, there were a handful of fragile recordings that captured something nobody realized would become history.
His heart's a stone, will cause you pain.
Some of these artists were dead within years. Some of the footage nearly vanished forever. And one 9-minute film is the only moving image we have of a man who helped build country music from the ground up. Number 10. Tex Ritter, Song of the Gringo, 1936. Tex Ritter wasn't supposed to be a movie star. He was a Broadway actor.
Don't get it right, whiskey, well, a Fingo will die.
And a radio singer, a guy from Merval, Texas, who'd spent years doing a cowboy variety act on a New York radio station. Then in 1936, a scrappy, broke studio called Grand National Pictures, a Poverty Row outfit, with none of the budget of the big lots,
Fingo will die.
signed him for a film called Song of the Gringo. No fanfare, no confidence, just a cheap Western trying to copy whatever Gene Autry was doing over at Republic. So why would anyone remember a bargain bin cowboy picture from a studio that barely had electricity? Because it worked. One theater owner wrote back to the studio after the film played, saying audiences kept asking when the next Ritter picture was coming. That's it. That's the whole spark. Ritter would go on to make over 70 films, become the first singing cowboy inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, and help found the Country Music Association itself. Not flashy, not hyped. A guy in a cheap suit on a cheap set who turned out to be the blueprint. And he wasn't the last country star to sneak into a B-movie through the side door, because 4 years later, an entire band would follow him in.
If the ocean
Number 9. Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. Take Me Back to Oklahoma, 1940. By 1940, Bob Wills had already built Western swing
falls someday, you are my sunshine.
into a phenomenon out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Horns, drums, and a fiddle, doing things fiddles weren't supposed to do. Hollywood called.
You are my sun.
But here's the catch. When Wills packed up for California to appear in the Tex Ritter picture, Take Me Back to Oklahoma, most of his full band stayed home.
Only sunshine, you made me.
Only a small string outfit made the trip. The real Texas Playboys, the horns, the size, the sound that filled dance halls,
When the skies are gray, you'll never.
got left behind in Tulsa. So the first ever footage of Bob Wills doesn't even capture the band that made him famous. Why would a bandleader let Hollywood see a watered-down version of his own sound?
How much I love you.
Because it was a foot in the door, and Wills knew it. That trip introduced his music to the West Coast for the first time. A year later, he came back with the entire band for another picture.
My sunshine always.
This time, the world got the real thing. That's when everything changed. Western swing stopped being a regional secret and started becoming a national sound.
I'll always love you.
Number 8. The Duke of Paducah, Kate Smith Evening Hour, March 26, 1952. Now here's where the story gets strange.
Kate Smith Evening Hour. You know, we have such a big show for you tonight that the control room here is about the...
On a single night, March 26, 1952, a wave of Grand Ole Opry stars walked onto network television For the very first time,
The Main Street Music Hall that features the stars of WSM's Grand Ole Opry.
all on the same broadcast. First up, a comedian nobody outside the South had ever heard of. Whitey Ford, known to Opry audiences as the Duke of Paducah.
And your old friends Ethel and Albert are back again tonight. You're also going to see Gloria Gilbert.
Beloved in Nashville, a total unknown to the millions of households tuning into Kate Smith's Variety Hour in New York City. Nobody in that studio audience knew what hillbilly comedy
Dozen shows from here with all the screens and the dials and the push buttons and the whatnots.
even was. But the laughs landed anyway. And that single appearance cracked something open for the first time.
And she's all ready to sing a song for you. The title of it is You're Okay for TV, so...
A mainstream American television audience sat through an entire segment of Grand Ole Opry talent and didn't change the channel. This was the test run. And it wasn't the only act on the bill that night.
I'd like to predict you're the hit of my set.
Number 7. Red Foley and the Ozark Jubilee, January 22nd, 1955. 3 years later,
55, along with Grady Martin and the Crossroads Boys and the Foggy River.
country music tried something no one had ever attempted. Its own weekly network television show. The Ozark Jubilee premiered on ABC on January 22nd, 1955. Hosted by Red Foley out of Springfield, Missouri. And it almost didn't happen not because nobody wanted it, but because the technology couldn't keep up. The telephone lines connecting Springfield to the network could only receive broadcasts, not transmit them out. For the first 14 episodes,
His heart's a stone.
the show had to be beamed out of a studio in a completely different city just to reach the network at all. A country music show that couldn't broadcast from its own home. So how does that become a hit?
The love you give, it just won't take.
It became appointment viewing anyway. By its peak, the Ozark Jubilee was pulling in 25 million viewers a week, an audience most network shows would kill for.
And all your love is that it takes.
And it turned unknown regional talent into national stars. Springfield, Missouri briefly became the third biggest broadcast production hub in the country, right behind New York and Hollywood.
Will cause you pain, although you love them.
Not flashy, not hyped, a show broadcasting out of technical duct tape, and it built the entire model for what country television would become.
Please, 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 and all your love.
If these stories are bringing back memories, go ahead and subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. Because what comes next didn't just make history, it rewrote the rules entirely. Number 6. The Carter Sisters. Kate Smith Evening Hour. March 26, 1952. Back to that same March night in 1952. After the Duke of Paducah, the cameras turned to Maybelle Carter and her daughters Helen and Anita, the sound of the original Carter family, carried forward into a new generation. On national television for the first time in their lives. This was a family that had been recording since the 1920s, a sound woven into the roots of American music itself. And network television had never seen a single frame of them. Why did it take this long? Because for 2 decades, country music simply wasn't considered something you looked at. It was something you heard on the radio, late at night, through static. That night, that assumption broke. Millions of households outside the South saw, for the first time, what that sound actually looked like. a mother and her daughters, harmonizing like it was nothing. And they weren't the biggest name on the bill.
Thank you very much. Well, sir, since the last time we visited, I think...
Number 5, Roy Acuff. Kate Smith Evening Hour, March 26, 1952. Same broadcast, same night. This time, the king of country music himself. Roy Acuff had already spent over a decade as the single biggest draw at the Grand Ole Opry, bigger, some said.
Well, I bet you they shoot shotguns at each other, and I took a run and go, and I jumped in one...
Than anyone else in Nashville. And even he had never stood in front of a national television camera until that night, when he sang Hillbilly Fever for an audience that had mostly never heard the phrase. One broadcast, one night, and somehow it carried the Duke of Paducah, the Carter sisters,
Thank you one and all. That's very nice.
and the king of country music, all at once a lineup that, in hindsight, looks less like a variety show and more like a coronation.
I'll tell you how it was.
I want just a minute, hon. Let's not get excited out here, will you? I want to take...
But the most important name from that same broadcast almost didn't happen at all, and it belongs to a man who had less than a year left to live.
I took a run and go, and I run, and I jump in that wolf hole.
You jumped in the fox?
Number 4, Patsy Cline, Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, January 21st, 1957. By January of 1957,
I walk for miles along the...
Patsy Cline had already released 4 singles. All 4 flopped, not one charted. Her mother, Hilda, pretended to be her manager just to get her a slot on Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, a national CBS show so competitive that even Elvis Presley had been turned away from it 2 years earlier. Cline wanted to sing a ballad called A Poor Man's Roses.
I'm always walking after midnight.
The producers said no. They wanted a different song, one she didn't even like, a tune called Walkin' After Midnight that she'd only recorded because her label pressured her into it. So she's standing on a national stage singing a song she didn't choose after 4 straight failures, with her mother posing as her manager just to get her in the building. And then the audience's applause pegged the studio's meter at its absolute limit. Godfrey turned to her afterward and said he had a hunch about that song.
Whispered to me, I'm lonesome as I can.
He was right. Decca rushed it out as a single within weeks. It hit number 2 on the country charts and crossed all the way to number 12 on the pop charts, a song that almost never got sung.
After midnight, out in the starlight.
On a stage she almost never got to stand on. 4 failures, 1 night, and a legend was born in real time, on camera, in front of millions.
I'm always walking after...
Number 3, Hank Williams, Kate Smith Evening Hour, 1952. Back one more time to that same television show.
I got a hot rod Ford and a $2 bill, and I know...
Because Hank Williams appeared on it twice, and both nights are now the only surviving video footage of him alive. March 26th, 1952.
Wanna have fun, come along with me, baby. Hey, good looking.
Hank performs Hey Good Lookin' as part of that same Grand Ole Opry showcase. A month later, on April 23rd, he returns to sing Cold, Cold Heart.
How's about cooking something up to me?
This time joined on stage by Anita Carter. Nobody in that studio thought they were filming something historic. It was just another guest slot on a variety hour. But less than 9 months later, on New Year's Day of 1953, Hank Williams was gone, 29 years old. These two brief television appearances,
So how about saving all your time from me?
maybe 10 minutes of footage combined, are the only moving images that exist of one of the most influential songwriters this genre has ever produced.
I know I've been cooking, so how about
Not a concert film, not a documentary, a variety show slot, almost erased by time, that turned out to be the last thing standing between Hank Williams and total silence.
I try so hard, my dear, to show.
Number 2, Gene Autry, in Old Santa Fe, 1934. Before there was a genre called
Once more, toting my old
the singing cowboy, there was a bit part in someone else's movie. In 1934,
where you sleep out every night, and the only law is right.
Gene Autry wasn't the star of In Old Santa Fe. He wasn't even credited. The film belonged to Ken Maynard,
44, where you sleep out every night, and the
an established cowboy actor who couldn't really sing. The studio's solution:
back in the saddle again. Whoopie tie.
bring in a radio performer from Oklahoma named Gene Autry to handle one musical number, playing his own guitar,
The saddle again. Whoopie tie.
backed by an accordion player named Smiley Burnett. Autry appeared for a few minutes, unbilled, unpaid attention.
Oh, rocking to and fro. Back in the saddle.
The name buried in the credits nobody read. So how does an uncredited bit player in someone else's western
I go my way. Back in the saddle again.
become the single biggest star in the genre's history? Because that scene was secretly a screen test.
In the saddle again.
The studio was watching. Within a year, Autry had his first starring role in The Phantom Empire. Within 2,
Out where a friend is a friend. Where the long
he was the face of Republic Pictures. He would go on to appear in 93 films, record over 600 songs,
toting my old 44.
and become the only person in history with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in all 5 entertainment categories. One unbilled scene,
Rocking to and fro. Back in the
one accordion player nobody remembered the name of. That's the entire foundation of the singing cowboy, and everything Nashville built on top of it.
I go my way. Back in.
Number 1, Jimmie Rogers, The Singing Brakeman, December 1929, which brings us to the beginning, the first one.
If you've got money, I'll see that you don't walk.
The moment none of the other 9 could have existed without. By the end of 1929, Jimmie Rogers was already the biggest name in what people were still calling hillbilly music. A former railroad brakeman,
So weary of roaming around.
turned recording star with a yodel nobody could copy. Columbia Pictures brought him into the RCA Victor Studios in Camden, New Jersey, to film a 9-minute short called The Singing Brakeman.
Not a penny can I show. Get off, get.
It wasn't treated like a landmark. It was a novelty reel, meant to run in movie theaters between the reel feature and the newsreel. Rogers plays a railroad worker in a train station diner,
The boxcar door. Diddle-dee-do.
sings 3 songs for a waitress and an old woman in a rocking chair, and that's the entire plot. Nobody in that room thought they were making history. But watch it now, and you're not watching a novelty.
We're fading to.
You're watching the only footage that exists of Jimmie Rogers alive. 4 years later, in 1933, tuberculosis took him at 35.
Is all around me, the moon and stars up above.
His records went quiet, His name faded from the charts for over a decade until the 1950s, when a new generation of country and rockabilly artists rediscovered him
Happy, but still I long.
and rebuilt entire careers out of what he'd started. This 9-minute short, filmed almost as an afterthought, is the closest thing country music has to a birth certificate.
Lend me a helping hand. I'm on my way from
Every single artist on this list, the singing cowboys, the Opry stars, the variety show guests, Patsy Cline, pegging that applause meter,
land. Though my pocketbook is
all of it traces back to a man in a brakeman's uniform, singing to a waitress who wasn't even a real actress. He didn't know he was making history. He just knew he had a train to catch.
miles away from home, waiting for a train.